Hello everyone, this is the demonstration video to accompany Lecture 3 of TM6004 Marketing Communications. Lecture 3 looked at marketing communications context analysis, specifically at the internal context, an area which you will need to look at for your assignments. If you haven't attended this lecture or you haven't reviewed the lecture slides, then I'd strongly recommend that you go and do that now and then come back to this video once you have. So we'll move on in terms of what we're going to look at within this video. This is Chaffee's 6 digital channels model, and this is the model that you will apply in assignment 1. What we're going to do in this video is look at some tools and techniques we can use to help us populate this model and to help us determine how well the company that we are looking at in our assignment is using these channels and their marketing communications in general. Just as quite a quick reminder, we covered in the lecture how we would approach the internal context analysis of marketing communications. What we need to do is combine what is currently known about the topic and apply that to the company. So when we think about what is currently known about the internal context of marketing communications within small and medium enterprises, because remember it is a small to medium firm that you'll be looking at for your assignment, we need to do some research and look at what is already there within academic research about how small businesses have marketing communications, what they do, how they do it. We need to look at some credible industry reports to have a look at the skills that are within these organisations and any potential skills gaps. And if we have access to the organisation, then we would look at the company's documents and we would maybe speak to the employees and the marketing departments and management, whatever was available. We do appreciate for this particular assignment that you may well not have access to any of these internal documents for the company, so we would expect you to look at what is currently known and publicly available through the sources we've just discussed. And then what do we know about what is good and best practice marketing communications and also what is bad practice? And we only know this from looking at published academic literature, academic research into that topic, and also the practitioner perspectives, what is currently being done and why. So you will need to research those areas for your context analysis and then pull through. So now we know what is currently there in terms of marketing communications and small to medium enterprises. We need to look at the marketing communications channels that your company, your case company, is using. What purpose are they using it for? Why are they using those channels? And then we need to have a look at what evidence there is of best or good practice or even bad practice from what we can see about the organisation. Then we take what we have found out from our internal context analysis and we begin to evaluate, and the evaluation part is what goes into the main body of your assignment. So you need to be thinking about what do the company's external marketing communications suggest about their own marketing communication skills or use of external agencies. So what in relation to what we know about current capabilities within organisations in terms of marketing communications, what does the company's Marcomms say about what their skills level might be? And this will become clear when we go through the demonstration. And also which marketing communications channels is the company currently using and for what purpose, which was what we looked at in the analysis section, but we need to be evaluating, so how well are they using them? Could they be using them better? Are they not capitalising upon an opportunity? Is there something they're particularly good at they can build upon? All those types of things need to go into your evaluation. So now we will look at the tools and techniques we can use in relation to Chaffee's 6 digital channels model to actually analyse and assess the marketing communications of our chosen organisation. We'll start off with search marketing. Now, as we've covered in the lecture, search marketing is an umbrella term that really refers to put it simply, the activities and the approaches that an organisation can do and take to ensure that their company is visible to their customers online, and it primarily is associated with search engines, so our Googles or Yahoos. We can also optimize for other platforms as well, but we will stay in that area for the purposes of this module and for this assignment. So ways that we can have a look at a company's performance in terms of search marketing. Now, quite simply, what we can do is look to Google. Now, there are limitations with this in terms of if we do a search for a certain company through Google, through our Google accounts or through another search engine. And I'll just point out some of those limitations to you, and that will put into context why we're going to look at some third-party tools that will help give you a more accurate and a more professional picture of what's going on. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at Zappos. That was a company that we discussed in the lecture. So we'll use this as an example for how we can look at their online marketing communications in relation to Chaffee's 6 digital channels. So simply, if I were to put Zappos into the search engine there. Now, as you can already see, I'm logged into my Google account, and already it's pre-populating some searches for Zappos. So again, when I'm talking about limitations for simply doing a Google search on a company, one of them is if you've already looked at them, it will prioritize them in your feed or in your search engine results, which might actually not be representative of if another member of the public was to type in a search themselves. It can give you a general idea, but there are some drawbacks, like I say. Another thing is that Google also knows, particularly if I'm signed in, where I am, where I'm based, from IP address, etc. So if you are looking at a local company, for example, and Google sees from your IP address or your location that you are located nearby to a branch of this, it will probably prioritise the local branch over and above ones that are further out. So again, doing a simple Google search, it might skew things because it might not be the same as what another user elsewhere would see. So if I search for Zappos, it's coming up first on there because I've done a branded search because I know the organisation, and that's what I'm looking for. So as we can see, it's coming up first. It's coming up first here for its brand name, as you would expect. Some companies don't, and we can see that its name comes up quite a lot in the first 4 or 5 searches as well. Now from this, we can't see that it's doing any paid search advertising for this particular search term, but that doesn't mean they're not doing paid search in any shape or form. And what I mean by paid search is you will sometimes see when you do a Google search, those at the top of the search results will have a little square that will say ad next to it. And what these are PPC, pay-per-click adverts, where companies will bid to get to the top of Google. They'll have to say that they're a paid advert, but it's not purely organic search. It's not purely off the search engine optimization activity that's been done by the company. But like I say, we can't assume that Zappos aren't doing any paid search advertising. It might be that they're not bothering to pay for results against their own company name because they know they're ranking fairly well anyway. So they might look to other less direct results and less direct keywords. So what types of third-party tools can we use as a marketing communications professional to assess the search marketing activity of our chosen organisation? Well, there are some third-party tools out there, some very good, very useful ones. And I'm going to show you 2 to 3 in relation to search marketing today, and these are ones that are used by and recommended by those that are working within digital marketing communications. So they are credible tools, and we would expect you to use these within your assignments. So let's take a look now. This is called SimilarWeb. Now, SimilarWeb is a tool you can use to assess your own website, so your own company's website, and it's also used for competitor analysis as well. So if we can see here in the top left hand corner of the screen, there's a bar that says a free report on any website or app. So Zappos.com, it already recognizes the website. It does have a very good database of websites. It will analyze any, but you might find that when you type in the website address of the company that you are looking to analyze, that it will come up pre-populated. I've tried it with a few of the companies that are on the lists that we recommended to you, and they do come up. Okay, so here we are. This is the SimilarWeb report for Zappos.com. Now, I will talk you through some of the elements, not all of the elements in this report, but I'll talk you through some of the main ones that are helpful for the internal context. One thing I want to draw your attention to is that you can download this report as well. So we would strongly recommend that when you do your research for your own company and you use this site, you download the report so you can put it in your appendix of your assignment. So just scrolling down, there's some general information about the company, general information about in terms of where it ranks as compared with all other sites in the world. Okay, so that's what that means. If you're not confident with what something means in terms of these headings, just always hover over the information icon and it will tell you. Something else I want to draw your attention to is that this is estimated data. So with any third-party tool, it's never going to be 100% accurate. And don't worry about that. That is fine, because we appreciate that as well. What we would like you to do is to use that awareness and to look at the data from credible sources such as this one and some of the other sites that we're going to direct you to, and make some general assumptions based on the information that is there. So you can look at patterns or trends, but you can be confident that this data is accurate enough for the purposes of your assignments. Another thing that to be careful of when you're looking at these figures is that everything has to be in context, and a lot of the time you're looking at things that there's no comparison, there's no benchmarks, for example. So if we look here at the traffic overview, we can see that within the last 6 months that the company websites received 16.92 million visits. Now that seems like a very large figure, but we don't know what that's relative to. We don't know if that's relative, of the sector, if their competitors have more visits, whether they're actually way ahead of their competitors. We don't know from this particular data. One thing that it is telling us, interestingly, is that compared to the previous 6 months, now this recording is being done on the 31st of August, so that will be the 6 months from August backwards. Compared to the previous 6-month period, it's dropped by just under 4%. Now, we can read many things into that, but again, we don't know the full picture. I mean, one example could be that the previous 6-month period would have covered Christmas, and as an online store, then you might expect it to have more traffic around the Christmas period than other months, but that's by the by. It's just really to demonstrate to you that, don't look at these figures in isolation and make broad assumptions about them. In relation to your assignment, if you were to say, Zappos is an extremely successful website, as we can see, it received 16.92 million site visits within 6 months, our response back would be, well, what's the benchmark? So just always be careful when stating figures as well, that you can relate it to something before making an assumption about its success or failure, or whatever that might be. Okay, scrolling down a little further. Now again, this is just something as an aside rather than for the internal context, but I'd strongly recommend you make a note of this part because it's very helpful for the customer context, which we covered a couple of weeks ago. Now, as you can see from this graphic here, that it breaks down the countries that the web traffic comes from. Now, it's predominantly from the US. It's a US website. I don't think it delivers to the UK. But that helps us in terms of what the customer context might be, because when we're populating the variables of segmentation graphic, there is a section on geography and geographic segmentation, and this would help you to identify where the customer base might be. I accept it's at a general national level rather than a local level, but you might come across a company that's UK based that might have quite a bit of traffic from Spain or somewhere else, so it can give you some useful insight that you might not get from other places. Okay, so let's take a look at traffic sources. Now what this means is when users have arrived at the website, where have they come from? What online sources have they come from to actually reach the website? So if we look through some of these areas, I'm going to concentrate mainly on direct traffic and search traffic. Direct search would mean that I have gone to my browser and I have typed into the address bar the name of the website, or I typed in the name of the website in the Google search bar, and that's taken me directly to zappos.com. Now what this suggests is that I am highly aware of Zappos, I know their website, my intention is to visit that website and not another website that's similar to it. So when you're thinking about brand awareness, then this could suggest that Zappos's customers show a good level of awareness there, because just under half of their traffic comes from people going directly to the site rather than finding it through other sources. Search traffic, and for this it will combine paid search and organic search, but that doesn't particularly matter for this particular traffic sources report. And what we mean by search traffic is I might not know of Zappos, or it might not be the #1 shop that I want to go to online. I might not be sure what's available and what's out there. I might be looking for a pair of shoes. So I might search buy shoes or buy shoes online, or best shoes available online, whatever that might be. And it could be that Zappos is coming up in the search results for my search term. And it could be towards the top, it could be the first, or what it would say in its results would be quite, it would resonate with me, and I would then click through to that particular site. So it's not me typing in the direct website address, it's me doing a more general search, but still coming across zappos.com and then clicking through to the website. So this might suggest that Zappos are quite well equipped in terms of search marketing. That could be paid search and organic search as well. And like we said before, when I typed in Zappos onto the Google search, it wasn't paying for any of those listings, but it may well use paid search for other keywords to make sure it ranks highly, or it could use SEO techniques very well to make sure it ranks highly without having to pay. Another thing that can be helpful to you here is that there is some traffic from email. Now it's not as much as search or direct, but we don't know the extent of their email campaigns. We don't know what the purpose of their email campaigns are, for example. So what we can say from this, and we can evidence, is that Zappos do use email marketing. Like I say, we don't know to what extent or what type of campaigns that they do, but they are using email marketing, which, as we know, is one of the channels in the digital channels model. And we can also see here from display, which is online display advertising, that they are using that as well. It's not as much traffic as from search or direct or even from email. But again, we don't know what the purpose of their display advertising campaigns are. They could be for awareness rather than conversion, getting people to click through to the website. They could merely be there to be shown on websites so that people get the brand name into their mind. So we can see quite a lot of useful information there for Zappos from that particular report. Moving down a bit further, we'll talk about referrals. Now, referrals means that you might have a link to your website on another website, or somebody might post about your company and post a link on a social platform, etc. So it shows you how much of that traffic is coming from referrals, but what it interestingly does as well is tell you which websites those referrals are coming from. So I might be on BuzzFeed and I might see something about Zappos. There might be a link to Zappos and I might click through from BuzzFeed to Zappos to have a look. There might be an article about an item of clothing, and within the piece of editorial it might say that this is available at Zappos. It might be a piece of editorial about the company itself, which will prompt me to go through to the website. So when we look back again at Chaffee's 6 digital channels, this might suggest that there is some level of online public relations going on because people are linking to the website from their own. Or it could indicate as well that they're doing some link building where it's a reciprocal arrangement where you have a link on your website to another website and they do the same as well. Again, we're looking at search traffic and paid traffic, and what this is telling us here as well is which search terms they're actually getting traffic from. So the organic, and again organic refers to when they don't pay for this as advertising as such, it's purely what comes back from the search engine results when those keywords are typed in. And they're getting paid traffic as well, and these are the keywords that they're receiving paid traffic from. So that suggests that they are doing some paid PPC, pay-per-click marketing around these keywords. And we can see from this that their organic search is much more receives much more traffic than their paid search. This might suggest that they're quite adept in terms of search engine optimization, but they do have the resources to be able to boost their rankings in a search engine by using that paid search. In some cases, organisations would use search at the beginning of a campaign, perhaps to raise awareness or to try and rank for search terms that they're not getting the traffic for, but they wish to. And it can be sometimes to reinforce a campaign as well. You might find that your company isn't using any paid, or they're actually using more paid than organic, and that would suggest that their SEO skills maybe aren't as good, and they might be using paid search because it's the only way that they can get that coverage, that exposure online, or what they feel is the only way that they can get that, or they could be relatively new and at the beginning of a campaign. Scrolling down further, the traffic that comes from social platforms. So we can see that they're present on these. Now this could be from their own pages, it could also be from other users posting. And display advertising, they do use display advertising as well. So again, that's one of the channels in Chaffee's model. And the top publishers refers to where their adverts are actually served to. Okay, so they do some display advertising that appears on YouTube, they do some display advertising that appears on Facebook, and they also have some display advertising that is on these sites here, list.com, Our Style Me, and Travel and Leisure. So this indicates the type of sites that maybe have the audiences that they want to reach. They might have, particular interests of their target audience might be around this. So, it's useful to have a look at those as well. Again, helpful for your customer context is this section on audience interests and who that audience also visits. Okay, so I might be a Zappos customer, but I also use Nordstrom. So that is the roundup of SimilarWeb and how it can help you. Just one last thing, in terms of their marketing skills, they do have a number of on mobile apps. Okay, so that suggests that app development is quite a it can be quite expensive, it can take a lot of investment, so that suggests that they're well equipped to deal with that or outsource for that type of activity. This is the second website we're going to show you. This is called SEMrush. If you did Introduction to Digital Marketing at Level 4, you may well have come across this site before. If not, don't worry, we're going to show you the basics today, and that's all you need for this particular assignment. Once you go onto the website's homepage, then you just enter the web address of the company that you're going to be researching. Now there is a drop down here, so you can set this to United Kingdom because your company will be UK based. So let's put Zappos in here and we'll start. And it will take you to this overview page. Now when you do this, it will ask you to register or sign in. Now you'll just need to put an email address and create a password for it. We under no circumstances recommend that you sign up for any paid for versions of this particular piece of software. You can sign up for a free account and you get up to 10 free requests per day, and that is all you need for this assignment. So please don't sign up and pay for anything. Always go for the free versions, because what you can get from the free versions is more than enough. I'm just going to log in. So we will scroll through in a moment. Just some things to point out to you. A word of advice when it comes to looking at data from various different sources. You'll notice that on different platforms, different third-party platforms, the data might look a bit different, and this is because how they collect and aggregate that data and then present it to you is done in slightly different ways. We can see here that for Zappos, SEMrush is using live data. You might find other sites will use historical data, or they'll give you a time span of the last 3 months or 6 months, and this is where you need to be critical. So this is where the criticality is coming in. You don't take all this at face value. You look at your sources and you spot those patterns and trends and what things are suggesting based on what you can see. So we'll scroll through. You can also download a copy of this PDF in a similar way to SimilarWeb. So, if you can, make sure that you download it and put it in your appendix if you're using this site for your analysis. The data here is similar to what's reported on using SimilarWeb. What's useful here is that it looks at search engine optimization and actually shows you the keywords that the company are ranking for organically. So these are the keywords that they're getting high search results for off the back of their own search engine optimization activity. So they're doing particularly well. They do sell other goods, but they are mainly a shoe site, or that's how they started out at least. So you can see that they're ranking really well on shoe size conversion. So they've been a bit clever about what they're looking to rank for here, because they're capturing people. If I was looking to buy a pair of shoes, I'm a size 4 or 5 UK, but what I'm looking to buy is actually expressed in US sizing terms. So I might go and Google how that equates, how that translates over, and I am finding from that search Zappos, who sells shoes. So it's clever in the sense that it is looking at audience, what people want to find out, audience interests, audience questions, to actually acquire its own audience and its own website visits. It also shows you the competitors in the digital landscape, so who else is ranking fairly well for those terms as well. It shows you the level of branded search, so a branded search would be, I'd go to Google and type in Zappos, that's the brand name. And that again is useful for indicating brand awareness. Top paid keywords, and again this indicates their strategy for their marketing communications strategy for paid search is slightly different to organic search. They're looking to get some paid traffic based on what looks like on here seasonal purchases. It's August now when we're recording this, so music festival outfits, cool festival outfits, so they're really looking to promote those products around this time of year, and they're looking to boost that promotion with some paid search. Paid search is a way to get rankings quicker than organic. Organic search engine optimization can take quite some time, whereas paid search, if it's set up correctly and everything's set up and the bidding is right, then you can rank first or second for a paid search within hours sometimes. It depends how long it takes Google to do its checks. Again, the main competitors in the paid search landscape. But this here is what I really want to help you out with. We saw on SimilarWeb that the evidence indicated, it suggested that Zappos are doing display advertising, but we couldn't see any examples. And it's not always easy to find examples of a company's display adverts because we don't always stumble across them online, and that could be because we're not the target audience. A lot of the time now, display adverts are served to us as consumers based on our previous search behaviour, our interests, cookies, etc. So if we're not within the target group for a company, which you may not be for your chosen company for your assignment, you might not find examples of the display ads. So coming to a platform like this is really helpful because it will show you what they're doing. Now, the information here isn't what I want to draw your attention to. It's not that helpful. If you were just to go and look at this as some sample media adverts for Zappos, that's clearly not Zappos, it's Facebook, and I'll explain to you why it's showing like that in a moment. What you need to do is go to view full reports. Okay, when the report comes up, you'll notice there's a drop down here for advertiser or publisher. Now what this means is this report, it's either looking at Zappos as the advertiser, okay, so you know what they're doing in terms of advertising their own company, or it can look at Zappos as a publisher, so a website that actually shows adverts from other companies. Now if it's set to publisher, when we scroll down here, we can see that the top publishers, or top advertisers, sorry, that use Zappos as a site to advertise on are Facebook, Play, etc. And it will show you sample media adverts for Facebook. Okay, so the adverts that Facebook put on Zappos.com. We don't want that, so always make sure that it's set to advertiser if you want examples of the company's own advertising. So if we now set this to advertiser and scroll down, you can look at the trends and which devices the adverts are served to. You know, you can do that for your own company at your leisure. This is what I'm interested in for the purposes of this demonstration. You can actually see examples of the types of adverts that Zappos are putting out as display adverts. So you can see from looking at this one,
Looking at the copy and the creative and the content of it, it looks like they've used some professional photography to put this together. They've enhanced it digitally, they've used filters. If we look at the actual words in there, it's American spelling, but the spelling is correct. It's got a clear call to action to pull people through to the website. It looks like quite a professional advertisement. And it may be that they have the skills in-house to produce that type of copy and creative, or they might have the resources to outsource that to an agency to do that for them. Again, some more examples. What's also useful is it shows you the size of the adverts. Okay, so 300 by 250 pixels, that is. This, and make a note of this for your next assignment, because assignment 2, part of that, you'll be required to put together a media plan and a budget. So within your plan, if you're using display advertising, you can look and find some sizes. You can see what the company's already done. Do you want them to do some different size adverts? And we'll be providing you with some costings and prices as well, so you can actually recommend a particular size advertisement and present how much that would cost for the period of the campaign. The campaign period for this particular advert, okay, it was first seen on March the 23rd and it was last seen on August the 30th. So it's ran for approximately 6 months so far, this particular campaign. You can see how many times it's been seen. And you can see the website address that it's actually directing the audience to.
The final website we're going to look at to assess your assignment company's search marketing and display advertising capabilities is SpyFu. Again, it's another site that is recommended and used within industry. So I will put the website address for Zappos in again, and we'll just wait for that to pull through the results. Okay, I'm signed into this particular platform. It may ask you for an email address before it serves the data to you, so that's just a heads up on that. Again, with this you can export to a PDF, so if you're going to use this platform, then by all means you can export that data and append it to your assignment. I'm not going to show you everything here. You'll notice here that SpyFu works on monthly data. So we talked earlier about different platforms using different time spans to look at information, and again, this is why you'll see on several different platforms the information is slightly different. So again, look to them, bring them together and look to any trends or patterns. Okay, right. So I'm not going to go through all of these. Like I said, they do visualize the data slightly differently, so if you're a visual person you might prefer this platform. Something very useful is it's giving you the cost per click estimates for paid search marketing for these particular search terms. So it's not necessarily relevant right now for assignment 1, but in assignment 2 you will be putting together a budget and a media plan for your organisation. So tools like this would help you to select keywords and justify costings, and with SEMrush, as we looked at earlier, they actually have that useful tool where they show you the size of the display advertisements that are currently being used, so that might help to inform you if you're going to do some display advertising, the size that you're going to propose, and then you can look up costs. So just a heads up for assignment 2 there. There's also recommended AdWords, history, search history over time, so ranking over time, and you can filter dates as well if you want to have a play with this.
These are the 3 web addresses of the platforms that we've been looking at today: SimilarWeb, SEMrush and SpyFu.com. We really encourage you to have a look on these platforms because they really will help you with your internal marketing communications context analysis, looking at the inside of an organisation's marketing communications from the outside. Please do let us know how you get on with them, and if you come across any other tools, techniques or tips that you found particularly helpful with this exercise, then please share them with the team, your peers, your colleagues and classmates. The digital marketing communications environment is constantly evolving. Within industry, there is a lot of sharing in terms of platforms, tools and ways to do things, so it's good to get involved with that. Thank you very much.